Oh man, yeah, it could be a jungle out there, especially when it comes to picking out a dryer box. And yeah, I get it. You want the best prints possible, right? Well, it doesn't make a difference whether you're a beginner or an advanced user. Keeping your filament dry is imperative. So today we're gonna actually go over some tips and tricks for keeping your environment in the best conditions possible. But we're also gonna take a look at some of these filament dryers and see how they stack up. More importantly, we're gonna take a look at one of the best filament dryers on the market, the Eibos Polyphemus. We're gonna unbox it, set it up, and take a deep dive and see if it's everything that it's cracked up to be. And I know some of you say, hey, I don't need this because I got an AMS, or I got an Ace Pro, or I just got a CFS. Well, not necessarily. You're gonna find out whether or not you're still gonna need one of these guys right after this.
Welcome to the show that sets your mind free. Tech and gadgets, 3D surprise. Spools! Captain Creativity. Honesty inside to have your with David's guiding light, invention sparkers take their flight.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Captain Creativity. I am your host, David Merrill. And we are here now with products that we've been sent by Eibos. A couple weeks back, they reached out to me and they said, hey, you know, we have some new product. We think that you and your audience would be very interested. Would you like to do a review on it? And I said, would I? So I went ahead and gladly agreed. And one of the reasons why is I know this company. In fact, I've purchased their dryers in the past. I did a lot of research on dryers, and they are definitely one of the companies that are pioneers in this industry. They know a lot about dryers, and so I was very eager to test out the new Polyphemus dryer that we have here. Before we dive into this one though, I just want to show you something else that's very cool. So they went ahead and also sent me the Artism Series II filament. And this stuff looks really, really cool. Yeah, you can see the burn-in from my last engraver review. My fault, by the way. Okay, so anyway, take a look at this. They got some really cool filament here, nice different colors, and the packaging is just, I have to tell you, the one thing that I was really surprised about, and it goes to show you these guys don't mess around, is check out this packaging. They went ahead and they put filament tubes all along the front. So the whole idea is that you can actually just start taking this and use this as your dryer box. So all you have to do is take some desiccant packets and throw it in here, and then just pull it through and you're good to go. It's really, it just goes to show you how they think and how the whole company is all about keeping your filament dry. So it's just something I wanted to show you. And again, very, very cool. So if you're not ready for a dryer, but you want some really cool filament, I mean, this thing has it. It's like a dryer box with filament. I mean, it's basically a makeshift dryer box, but it works. And it's so cool, and it has a little window on the front. Very neat. I give them a lot of props for this type of packaging. Okay, but let's get to the good stuff. Okay, so as you can see, really nice packaging again. Beautiful box that it comes in. And we are going to take out the manual. Garbage. Okay, comes with the base right over here. There's the base. Okay, so we'll take that out. So there's some assembly required, but I took a look at it initially. It doesn't seem that complicated. I'm pretty sure we could do it today. All right, so here's everything that we need in front of us. We have the front wall, which would be the Eibos logos right over there. And now is the part where we pull off the plastic. Okay, so let's take a look now. We're gonna open up the manual. As you can see, the manual is pretty simple. All right, so step number 1 is insert the rod. So you have 2 of these frames. We're gonna take the one that doesn't have these inserts for screws, the copper inserts, which you can see right over here. We are not gonna use this one right now. We're gonna put that one on the side, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're gonna go ahead and put those rods in right there. So let's go ahead and take out our rods. Here they are. So we're gonna insert one like this. Okay, does it make a difference what side? Doesn't seem to, but yeah, it doesn't seem to. Okay, so just put one like this, one like this. Okay, now we're gonna slide in our plastic. All right, so now step 3, we're going to take that other frame that we had before and we're gonna put it right on top. Yep, we're gonna put it right on top. So, okay. Okay, looking good. Look at that. All right. So now the next part is we have to put on the lid. All right. So this is where the lid goes, like that. And then we need to take the handle like that, and we line it up. Beautiful. Next, time for the screws. Let's go ahead and dump those screws out. Okay. And we're just gonna start putting them in all 4 corners. Okay, so in the instructions, there looks like a different screw, but don't worry about it. Just use the screws that they provided you. You should be fine. Lid is built. Base is here. All you gotta do is take it and put it right on like that. And it makes a beautiful seal. I mean, it just looks so great. I love it. All right, let's go ahead and pull that off. Okay, now, there are 3 holes here. I want to show you them. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. They come with plugs, and what you could do here is when you're not using the filament, when you're not using the dryer for printing and you just want to seal it up, you just stick in those tubes, and that's what they're there for. There you go. All right. Another thing that's really neat about it is this vent over here. So when you are heating the dryer, you should exhaust the air. And so they have an exhaust fan, which is located right over here, and you could see that you could turn it on or off. And so if you open it this way, when it's on, the exhaust is there, and so you can run the heater and you can exhaust that air. But when you're not using it and you just want to seal it up for storage and keep in everything, you just turn it to off and you're good to go. So that is how that works. Okay, and if you also noticed over here, they also included some more filament tube over here, additional roller, as well as another motor. So they're really thinking of long-term, that you're going to have everything you need going forward in case you do have some hiccups and maintenance along the way and the motor runs out. Now, one of the things I really am excited about this is that apparently, well, first of all, I love this. It's like when you're serving, bon appetit. But you know what? I have to tell you, this is so much better than this. Let me show you this. This thing drives me nuts. And a lot of lids, I don't know if you're like me, but you're like reaching in and you're pulling it up and then it drops on you constantly. Like, it always gets me, those lids. They pull down, they fall down on me. They drive me crazy. Sometimes, especially when you're trying to do it one-handed and you're trying to replace the filament and this thing just kind of gets in the way all the time. I hate them. These always drive me nuts. But what's so cool about the Polyphemus is that you just take it off. So here we are with some filament. And what's so nice about it is once the lid is off, you could just place your filament right there and you're done. And it still has it still has passive rolling, so it could be pulled by your printer. But what I really love about this is that they really thought of everything. In the past, you used to just hope that the chamber would fill up with heat and that you would have the heat and the drying effect evenly throughout the whole entire chamber. But that's not true. It doesn't work that way. The problem is that you tend to only end up getting parts of this being heated up, and so you end up with an uneven drying and uneven heating of your filament. So what's great about this is that essentially all you have to do is when you turn on the dryer, this motor is going to continuously turn this thing. And so basically it's going to heat and dry your filament evenly, which I think is just so cool. I want to show you the filament we're going to use for this test. This is so brittle. It's by eSun, and one of the things that is very true about eSun is that while it's an amazing filament, I love it, but for whatever reason, it gets brittle super fast, usually sometimes after a day, 2 days at the most. So, keep that in mind. Here we are in the front panel. We're gonna turn on. It comes on and we have a couple of different options here. So let's see what we can do. They hit this. So once it starts blinking, all I have to do is push it and there it is. So they have PLA, ABS, PA, PC, PETG, ASA, PVA, TPU, PP, M1, M2, and M3. That is cool. M1, M2, and M3, these are custom settings that you can put in here for your types of filament or for special settings that you want. So there is presets, there's 9 presets in here, but there's another 3 that you can create. I like that, that's great. Okay, so now what we're going to do is let's change this over to PLA. And I think we could just let it go. Okay, so now it's on PLA. And then you can hit this 360 here. And I think that will, oh yeah, wait, did it do it? Oh, that is just so cool. I don't know if you could see that, but look, just take a look at that. It's just going to turn this thing around. And I could just leave it here and know that now this chamber is going to heat up and it's going to rotate the filament 360 degrees. That is just so cool. That is so neat. All right. That's so neat. What is that? And it says 4 hours. What else can I do here? Oh, I can also change it. Okay, so I could overwrite any of the settings at any point just by hitting the settings button, but I could just leave it on the presets, which I am going to do. I'm going to leave it on the presets. So I just want to show you how brittle this is. Check this out. So you see, take a look at this. To show you how brittle that filament is, that thing has been out for a year, and that's shame on me. It should never sit out that long. But look at this. It just snaps so easily. A couple of other things that we need to do here, because now the box is on and we put in the filament, it's now time for us to open up our exhaust so that we make sure that the heat can actually get out, and you need that air to be able to exhaust. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. And again, now we're just going to wait about 4 hours for this to finish. And then let's see how it goes. Because if this thing actually does the job, I will be completely shocked. I want to see if it could do it. I'm not even sure Polyphemus can solve this filament, but we'll see. Okay, so here's some tips and tricks on drawing. I've also reached out to Eibos and they've given me some info. I've done some of my own research and I also know from my own experience. So a couple things here. When you're drawing, the ideal environment, especially if you're using PLA, is you definitely want to be below 50% humidity in the room. And some will say, look, if you could bring it somewhere between 30 and 40, that's even better. But, once you start getting above, 40%, that's when your filament is going to start to crack and your prints are going to have all kinds of like bubbles. That's an indicator, by the way, when your prints are not good because your filament is wet. You'll actually see like little like dimples or dots or pimples, whatever you want to call it. And sometimes they just become so brittle, they just snap. And another thing that was very interesting is that sometimes the dye that companies use to color their filament can actually accelerate that process of making the filament brittle. For example, East Sun PLA, while I love the different color brands that they have, and I'm a big fan of it, don't get me wrong, I love printing with it, and it's got a lot of strength. I really do like East Sun a lot, but one of the downsides of it is that if I keep it out for more than 2 days, oh man, that stuff just snaps. So anyway, like I was saying, that after about 2 days, it could get really brittle. I've actually found that Sunlu can last a little bit longer. I found that as long as you're printing and you're putting those printers to work less than a week, the Sunlu actually works pretty well. So that's good. And I'm going to continue testing more and telling you my results along the way. But I will definitely say that Sunlu lasts longer in non-ideal environments. So again, the best thing to do is try to get a dehumidifier if you can and basically suck that moisture out of the air. And if you could keep your environment in around 40, 50%, and again, some people say go down to 30, but if you could keep it down, the ideal percentage, I would say somewhere around there, 30 to 50%. And of course, if you find that you get better results with different temperatures, please let me know in the comments below. Another thing that Eibos did tell me is that there definitely is a point of no return. This might be it. We might be looking at a point of no return filament right now. There is such a thing that you could keep out filaments so long that you just can't bring it back. You can't bring it back. And obviously, I can't give you an exact time because every filament is different, every environment is different. So it's just not set in stone. That's just some of the tips that I have to be aware when you're drawing your filament. Another cool thing about it is that this thing, other than the ability for it to sport 2 1-kilogram spools of filament, they also have a riser kit, which you can increase the height to fit a 3-kilogram spool of filament. So this is perfect for you guys out there who got either the Cheaty Max, the Comgro T500, the Prusa XL. If you have a very large 3D printer and you want to go big and you don't want to run out of filament and you're going to start looking at those 2-kilogram and 3-kilogram rolls, this is a great dryer box for it. You're not going to be able to use the AMS, the Ace Pro, the CFS. None of those guys can handle 3-kilogram. So if you want a drying solution that can handle something that big, it's this guy. Yep, that guy. Okay, so let's compare some of these dryers, and let's start off with the Sunlu S4. One of the big reasons why this guy is so popular is because it holds so many rolls of filament. This can support up to 4 rolls of filament. And some of you have even asked me, well, can I dry TPU and PLA at the same time? So the answer is no. When you open up these lids, there is no segmentation between the compartments. It's all completely open. So If you want to dry PLA, they all have to be PLA. And by the way, that holds true with pretty much almost every dryer solution I've seen out there that supports multiple rolls of filament. Same here with the Eibos. If I put TPU over here and PLA over here, I cannot dry them independently with different settings. And so if you guys have seen a dryer out there that has multiple chambers and can dry each one independently, that would be really interesting, and I would love for you to put it in the comments below. But anyway, the S4, I've been pretty happy with it, and one of the reasons why I bought it was really mainly for the capacity more than anything. Moving forward, many of you may have what you think is a dryer or have an actual dryer because you bought a multicolor filament solution. So let's start with one of the first guys out there is the Bamboo Lab AMS. This guy, first of all, you should know, is not an active dryer, all right? So please be aware of that. Putting in those desiccant packets and even getting the accessories have done nothing for me. Unfortunately, and I don't know what it is, I just don't get luck with this in drying out my filament. I've even done these accessories where I put the beads in. Let me pull that out and show you. Yeah, there you go. So I even have 3 of these in the front, plus 2 in the rear, and yet, no matter what I do, my filament keeps getting dried out. And I'll tell you something, this guy is the biggest pain to get loose parts of filament out of. I love it. I love the fact that I can have multicolor printing. I love the fact that I can actually put in backup rolls of filament in there. And it is the solution that I need to use if I have a P1P or an X1C or P1S, etc. But the fact is that if I get a clog in here, I have to take the whole thing apart. It's really, so I'm just saying, if you have this guy, you have to be really careful with your filament and do not leave it in there. It's too risky, or, you know, try to find a filament which their dye kind of lasts longer, so that as long as you're printing like every 3 days or so, well, then you're okay. But if it's gonna stay longer than that, I really am gonna advise that you take it out. So I'm gonna just put this guy to the side. Moving on, you got the Ace Pro. It's got an active dryer. I'm a big fan of that. And you could turn it on independently, but unfortunately, you can't operate it independently. There's no LCD screen or anything like that. So you actually have to use their printer to do that. Now, that's not surprising, and I don't expect you to do that. I just wanted to let you know that it is not a standalone dryer. And the other thing I will say, though, this has been much easier to remove clogs on. So kudos to them on that part. But, you know, let's go ahead and talk about now the Eibos Polyphemus. And so here's my conclusion on this guy. I was really blown away with this. I was on so many levels. First, I really like this. You may notice I didn't bring up those other boxes where the lids close on you, because that's already a negative for me. I hate it when those lids just slam down on you and there's no control, just comes down on you like a guillotine. And the other thing is that, you know, today I just don't even bother. If you're gonna have a dryer box that only holds 1 roll of filament, I don't know, I feel like that's silly. You gotta be looking at things today that hold multiple rolls. But I will say that the fact that it has this motor in here that turns that filament, it's not just, you know, a gimmick. I actually took a roll of filament that I had in my lab. It's been sitting out for about 1.5 years, and I basically set it to 4 hours. Well, the preset for PLA was for 4 hours, and I was convinced I was gonna come back into the lab and I was gonna need to run it further. I was originally going to put it for 20, you know, to run it overnight, but I wanted to see, can it do the job on just 4 hours? And to my complete shock, I was able to like take out some of the filament. It wasn't cracking on me, and I was able to put it right into the Sunlu SV06 Ace, which is coming out soon. It's also a very, very cool printer, so stay tuned for that. But I was really, really impressed. And so I actually did a couple of tests with it. Obviously a high detail benchy, as well as a fungo pop of me. And I was just floored by the results. I thought they were unbelievable. I couldn't believe this thing was out for that long and it was able to bring it back to life and have it be a viable spool again for printing. So that was amazing. I really like the fact that they have those 3 extra presets that you can add. I mean, they have already 9 presets. That's a lot of presets for different types of filament, but they said, hey, you may need more. And so they gave you 3 more for custom presets. And then on top of that, I even said, well, do you have a setting that I could just maintain the humidity in the chamber? Like, let's say I actively dry it, but now I just want it to sit in there and then just maintain the humidity levels so that I don't have to go through this process of constantly active drying my filament, but I could just say, okay, at any point, this will be ready to go. And the answer is yes, they do. They have a setting that you can turn it into, I guess, humidity mode, and then what it does is it maintains the humidity, the desired humidity for that type of filament. With all that being said, it's a pretty damn good filament dryer. So full disclosure, I just want you to know, Eibos did not pay me in any way to make this video. In fact, they just sent me over this dryer. They said, try it out and tell us what you think. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I was very pleased with it. I put it to the test. And I think that you're going to be very pleased with it as well if you decide to buy it. With that being said, it goes right now for something around $139.99. Comes with free shipping. I did check it against Amazon, and they are actually cheaper to buy it through their store directly. So I would advise you go there. I'm going to put a link in the description. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.